So hello and welcome to our mini webinar on choice boards. This is a popular topic. So I think that you guys will hopefully grab something from here that'll be really helpful for you. We are going to be looking at how to set it up, not so much the content and apps that would be great for it. We can do that in a separate session, but this half hour is how to actually build them in Google Slides. So I'm going to go over to my Google Slides and I will share this with you so you have the resource. There's not a ton on it because we're going to kind of play around. If you want to do a tab yourself and play along with me, you're welcome to do that as well. Because I'm going to kind of show you on screen how I'm doing it if you want to practice. If you don't know how to split screen, I will show you how to do that. That is one thing that saves me a ton of time that I've been hearing that a lot in these different sessions is they don't know how to split screen, and it's a great little tool in your toolkit to kind of help you out. So we're going to talk about choice boards. The way I created this cover is I just used a table, and then I put my little Bitmoji inside all the table. I changed my hairstyle yesterday because they had new hairstyles, so I figured I'm not doing as much wave right now. I've been flat ironing it, so I threw a different one in. So a little fun with that. Little pro tip in Bitmoji, if you're using the Chrome extension, you can type in any words you want and it will put those words onto your Bitmoji so you can personalize it a little bit more. It doesn't do that on the app, but it does it on the Chrome extension. I did have one teacher tell me it didn't work at all, so it may be blocked in some of your districts, but know that you can do that. So I put in the look here's and this one and the pick me, I put those in. All right, so what are choice boards? So choice boards are something that I've been doing forever, and I'm sure many of you have. When I taught sixth grade back in Schuylerville, I used to do a project I'd give them the first week of school, and it went the entire year. And what they would do is they'd pick a book, and then they'd have a list of choices of a way to showcase what they learned in the book. And it was just a list. It was very basic, but it was all sorts of different things. And then they'd cross it off the list when they completed that assignment. And then the next book, they'd pick a different one. So they got through however many of the different choices, depending on how many books they read. And they were required only to read one per quarter. So they only had to do 4, but the list was like 30 some odd different things. And they had to do some in the middle of different chapters and different things too. It wasn't just that they did end of book. But choice boards have been around a long time, and they can be extremely basic like that, just a list, or they can be really pretty and visually appealing, which I'm going to show you a few of those today. You can use choice boards for graphic organizers. They do keep kids more engaged because you might have a kid who absolutely loves to write essays, but I guarantee you also have the kid who absolutely hates writing anything. If I looked at my 2 kids in my own house, my son used to cry when he had to hold a pencil. He said it hurt to hold a pencil. So he would never pick anything with writing, but my daughter loves to draw. So she would always pick something where she gets to draw. So, you can really differentiate when you're using choice boards to help different kids out to be able to do things based on their abilities. And really the end product is you want to see what the students have learned, not that they can do a diorama or draw a picture or that kind of thing. So why not give them choices as long as they're showcasing their learning? Because the end goal isn't that they create this beautiful something. The end goal is that they've learned the content you wanted them to learn. It can be super fun. You can keep them really engaged. They can also be used, choice boards, and I didn't put it on the list, but and I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but you can also use them for a hyperdoc setup too. I'm going to be doing some mini webinars on hyperdocs coming up because that's been something that's been on my plate to do. And I wanted to make sure everyone had the content and the ability on the skills before we went to how to really create and make things packaged a little bit nicer. And that HyperDocs definitely does that. It really helps with that student-driven, student agency kind of thing. So I'm going to show you some examples. None of these are mine. There are people that are way better at making them than me. So I'm going to grab some of these and kind of show you what they look like. And then on the left hand or the right hand side of your screen where you see engage, explain, apply, extend, that's a basic outline for any kind of, it's a basic HyperDoc kind of outline. It's not exactly what they do, but, or the 5 E's where you're taking it down and you're breaking into smaller parts. You can choose what parts you actually want to use within creating a choice board. So let me show you a few of these examples. This first one is from Shake Up Learning. It's right on their website. So if you go out to Shake Up Learning, you can grab a copy of this or just grab it from the slide deck because I'm going to share it with you. It's view only. So if you don't know how to make something editable, you go up to File and you go down to Make a Copy. and then you pick entire presentation, and it makes a full editable copy for you, and you can use it. With Casey Bells, she likes it if you give them a shout out. So on the end of the slide, I usually put, "This is Casey Bells," or inspired by, and that kind of thing, just to give her credit for giving me that one. We got some more people coming in here. Let me hit admit. Hello and welcome. I'm going to try that thing again, see if it wants to work. Yeah, go ahead and put in the chat if you haven't already. Oh, there they go. See, now the names are here. See, it came up. Perfect. Okay, so let me show you the next one on the list here. This one, it was actually, we all have to do the DASA training, but here a school created a choice board for them. So in the directions, and this is still that same idea where they select one of the 6 options on the choice board to complete. And then you can share what you've learned based on it. So they can choose one of these. They have all the resources here, and then they have a QR code to help them get to it as well. So instead of just doing the training where you're doing the same give and get, they have to do some different activities instead, and then share that with the rest of their district. So neat idea there. This one is just templates that I found, and these are all things that I found either at conferences I went to or on Twitter. But these are fun little ones that have beautiful backgrounds that I thought was kind of neat. And you can see that they're just giving you a template, and then you can change them however you want. And I'll show you how you can set this up, because this one is a pretty basic one that you can set up yourself. For senior projects, so if you're looking at high school, a little bit more in depth, you're going to see that this project is all based on this grid, but within the grid, they have all of these different activities, and then the teacher puts some really important information on the other side or around it to kind of help them out. So this was all done in Google Slides, but you can see that you can change the shape in Google Slides to meet how you want your choice board set up. Another one, and I thought this one was super fun, it's a circuit board one. And this is one I actually went to a workshop, and they showed you how to do it. So they walk you through the process, and they have to actually go through. And then on some of these, what the teachers will have you do is have to put an icon when you finish something. So like a tic-tac-toe board, they would add something on top. So they give you some instructions on how to do it. And then each of these actually links out to either another page in the slide deck, which I'll show you how to do, or out to a resource. So that has some really great stuff on it. So you can kind of take a look at it. Color-coded, it really does help sometimes for students if you are looking for certain things to kind of differentiate based on color. So this just gives you some different boards and ideas there from InTech. Great, I guess is what her name is. Catherine does these fun templates for you. Even more templates for you. These are choice boards that I thought were really visually appealing, where you can set it up and you have your choices in a smaller box instead of the full page. Like this one's really cool, where they do a photo bento, which I'm doing bento boxes next week if you want to learn how to do it. But they would use this to help them out with their bento boxes, or a sketch and tell, where you have part of it on one side and part of it on the other, and then the directions are off to the left-hand side here to be able to take a look at it. So you just scroll over, and they give you some different information on how you can create these sketch and tells. Digital storytelling, definitely a passion of mine. I'm on the Digital Storytelling Network with ISTE, and we do a ton with digital storytelling, and you can use choice boards really well for digital storytelling. So here they're going to create a digital graphic, publish their writing, or make a video, and they give different choices within the categories, and they walk you through some of the best apps for creating the different parts of the choice board. So lots of information in there. And then the last one on the list here, which I'm going to hit escape just so I can get to it, because all of my things are covering up on it. Come on. It doesn't want to give me that link, because maybe if I do this. Don't you hate when it doesn't work when you're doing it live? Here we go. There we go. Okay. So this one was a workshop I actually just went to on April 15th. And this guy, Chris, is an elementary school teacher. He must do very young kids, because most of the things that he was showing were like in that K2 area. And Seesaw is amazing in and of itself. But what he does is he creates the templates in Google Slides for the kids to use the content. And then their application, what they're applying with the choice board, will go on to Seesaw for. So you can see he does where the kids have to watch these 2 stories, and then they go on to Seesaw to do the activity. or they'll have to follow the path. And he does a lot with the 1, 2, 3, 4 in this clockwise kind of pattern where the kids will do these different activities and then go out to Seesaw to do the activity. So he does some pretty cool things with kids, and it's all, I mean, you can't get lost if all you're doing is following this path. So he does some really great things there. Before we go into designing, drawing, that kind of thing, let me go back in. Anyone have questions on what they are or how they're used before we get started? Yeah, I'm going to share all the resources and these templates with you. I can do that right now, actually. Why don't I drop it in the chat before I forget? I was doing bit.lys for all these, but then I had a lot of people telling me that their schools block bit.lys, so it's just easier to wait and drop it in the chat. So here is a copy of the slide deck. If you want to make a copy of yourself for yourself, you can certainly hit file, make a copy, and then you can play around as well. I see all coming in there. All right, so moving along, let's talk about what you would actually put in the boxes before we actually create. So again, this isn't one where I'm going to say, oh, you have to use Bunsey or you have to use Nearpod or National Geographic or Wonderopolis or any of those different things. Yes, they're all wonderful, but on this one, we're talking about how to design them. So what do you put in the boxes? You can put video, you can put web pages, PDFs, worksheets, any resources you want the kids to do, an actual activity you want them to do right on the Google slide, giving them directions. You could put quotes or resources. You could be putting primary resources on there, articles, music, maybe just a story that you want them to follow. And you can even just use it for QR codes. So really anything that you can think of or anything you would normally put on Google Classroom or you give your students a resource in the classroom, here's a place to do it digitally. So if I was doing a project in my class, like we were doing a reading response project, I might give them, 4 different sheets of paper that might have different activities I want them to complete to then use to make their final project. Here I can package it all in a much more engaging way, in a digital way, that you don't have the students losing the resources, because I always hated the copier. I was not a fan of making copies, but for like the paper choice board I did with the reading responses, I always had a stack in the front of my room. And over the course of the year, the kids could go through 20 or 30 sheets of paper because they keep losing their copy of it. But if you have it digitally, it always saves it for them. So then they only need 1 copy. So I always feel like it's just easier and it helps the kids be organized. This will organize it for them. Going on to the next page, when you're creating, some shortcuts that are really helpful that will save you time. The Control D. So let me show you how that works. So in here, I'm going to highlight this box. So I created this box. If I hit Control, or if you're on a Mac like I am, it's Command D, it will duplicate that box for me. It keeps the shape, the color, everything that I want with the box. So Control D is your best friend when you're doing this. If you've ever made an infinite if you ever wanted like an infinite cloner, they don't really have one in Google Slides. They have a great one in Keynote if you're on an iPad, but in here they don't. But what I'll do is I'll hit Control D like 10 times, and then I'll highlight all those and then hit Control D again and Control D again. So then I have like over 100 different copies that kids aren't going to run out of for that infinite cloner if you're creating drop and drag activities. And I can show you a really cool one that somebody showed me as a drop and drag if you want to see that. The arrange feature will save you time. I was working with a teacher yesterday. She had an image as her background, and then she had boxes covering the whole thing. So she must have had 10 boxes across and maybe 5 boxes down, and she couldn't get them to line up perfectly. And the idea was that as the kids did the activity on the little box, it would reveal part of the picture, and then eventually, as they finished all the words on the box, I think she was a speech teacher. As the kids said the words and did different things with it, they can pull them off. And once it was done, they got to see the image. So they were trying to guess what the image was on the back of it. So cool idea. But we used the arrange feature to help organize it so it didn't look so mishmashy as she was going through. And I'll show you how that works. And definitely the easiest way to do this is to use tables, either as a guidance for you to figure out how to organize your boxes, or actually as your boxes. And I'll show you how that kind of works. So actually, I'll show you right now. This, I used a table. And then within each part of the table, so I pull this out, I just grabbed and dragged the different images in. So I just rearranged it, but you can see the concept there, to be able to get them organized. So when I grabbed an image, I shrunk it down. I used the lines that were in my grid to help me keep them organized and kind of straight. And is it perfect? No, it's pretty close though. Here, if I hit undo and put these back, it'll look a little better. There we go. So that's one way in the grid. When I did these boxes, I used the duplicate, the Control D to duplicate 4 boxes. Then I changed the colors so that they'd be aligned. And then I kind of organized them on the page. And they look visually right. They may not be perfectly aligned, but I kind of arranged them that way. And then let's just practice with the tables. So what I did on slide 6, if you're in it, is I put this grid here. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm actually going to delete it out. And then I'll show you how you do that. So you go into Insert, you go down to Table, and then you decide how big you want your grid. Most people start with a bingo board or less. Anything more can get very confusing. When the table first comes, it just kind of throws it on your page and you're going to have to reorganize it. So you drag out the top, drag out the bottom, drag in the sides. All right, and it's going to keep each of those pretty much the same size. It does that for you, so you don't have to worry about making sure they're all the same if you're just grabbing the sides. And then you've got all of your boxes in here pretty much the same. You can drag it in and out from the corners too, to kind of help you out. All right, so once you have that, each of the boxes can be highlighted. So if you're in each individual box, you can change the color. To do that, you're going to use the little paint can on the top toolbar, and you're going to fill your color. You can do a solid color or a gradient color. You can even add your custom colors, which are fun to do. So I'm going to click and add a second color in here. So maybe I want blue. And then see how you can change where that line falls. You can make it linear or radial, so you can have a circle. You can center where you want that circle to be. Within it, I'm going to put it in the center. And when I hit OK, it's going to fill that box. If I wanted to do that with all of them, I want to highlight the actual box to do the fill. I'm going to hit that gradient, grab that one that I did, and it's going to put one in each of those boxes. All right, so that's kind of how I did it to kind of create some depth. Now, these boxes you can type right in. You don't have to put a text box on top of it. You can type right in the box, lesson 1 or whatever it happens to be. And then you can change the font from it in here, whatever you're going to be doing there. Change it to be whatever you want it to be. Change the colors just like you typically would do as you're building a lesson. All right. You can even add in an image by clicking the insert, search the web, and let's see, I have dogs on the brain, but I want it to be a cartoon, so I'm going to put in PNG. And we'll grab, oh, he's cute. Let's grab him. Shrink him down. Shrink him down even more. Drop them into the box. Okay. And you can go through and do this with each of your boxes. You'll notice that you also have these crossbar lines. You can change these crossbars to be anything that you want. So I can make it red so you can kind of see that. Or I can highlight the whole box and make it a different color. So maybe I want it to be purple and not red. Or if you highlight the whole box up at the top, I can make the whole thing have the same one. Maybe I want a bright yellow. It will put that whole thing on top. So when I put it in present mode, you're going to see that it has that yellow line around the box, and you can see the different things within that box. All right. You can make this the whole page. You put the directions on the side, or you can make one of the boxes the directions. You can add arrows to it. Let's say if you wanted them to follow a path, you're going to grab the shape tool, grab your arrows, and then drag it to tell them this is the box you go in next. Each of these boxes, then you're going to be, you can change the colors again, do whatever you want to do within the different sections. Okay. Basic idea. Questions on how to use tables? I got so many in you. Don't be embarrassed to ask anything. Please ask away. We're good so far? Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you, because these half hours just fly, is to create your actual boxes. So we're going to go into this blank one here. And let's say I want to create a 4-step choice board, or 4 choices, not even a step, 4 choices. So I'm going to go up to my shape tool and I'm going to grab my shape. I prefer the second one in, which is the rounded boxes. So I'm going to grab that and I'm actually going to create a rectangle. All right. I'm going to use my Control D to make 4 of them. That way they're all exactly the same size. I'm going to drag these out, but I'm not really worrying about where I kind of put them, and I'm going to show you why. So now I want these to be organized on the page. I'm going to grab one. I'm going to hit Shift and grab the one next to it. I'm going to go up to Arrange and Align. And then I can say, all right, I want them to go left. If I did that, see how it puts them on top of each other? That's not going to work for me. If I hit Center, it doesn't really change it. No, let's undo because it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Okay, let's try again. And sometimes it takes a little finagling like this. All right, so I got these two here. I'm going to hit Arrange. I really like it when Distribute comes up, but it doesn't always. We'll try Middle. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same with these. Arrange. Middle worked. So it arranged it middle, but I want it closer. So I'm actually going to just drag it closer. And then what I'm going to do is click these two, hit Arrange and Align. Middle again. Nope. Undo. Align. Bottom. Nope. So you kind of play around until you get it, but I wanted to get it to work. Why is it not doing it? There we go. Arrange. Usually you can get the Distribute to come up, but it matters on how you have it. So let me try. If anyone has a clue. I don't know why it's not working. I just grouped them. Let's just delete out. Let's start again. So I've got two, and I want to arrange them. Oh, there it is. Okay. So it's under Distributed. Center on the page. If I click horizontally, and then if I arrange it vertically, it will organize them based on how I want them. So these will kind of organize out. So I overlap them a little bit. So let's move them out here. And now I'm going to duplicate again now that I remember how to do it. I did it yesterday. You think I'd remember? All right. So I got these. They're not perfectly aligned, but I want to perfectly align them. So I'm going to grab the two. Shift will grab the two. Arrange center of page horizontally or center page vertically. And then I can move it where I want. And what it'll do is it'll lock them in place. Arrange vertically. All right, and then I can shift it down to organize it. So once you have your boxes where you want them, you can group them so then they don't move individually like I just did. So I'm going to highlight all four. I'm going to hit Group. And then now when I click, they'll move as a set. So now I can move it around my page without worrying about it getting unorganized. And then you can type it in the box. So practice, so that may be an engaging activity here, apply here, and then explain whatever you want to put in each of these boxes. So then they can do that kind of thing there. You can change the fill again with each individual one to be whatever you'd like. You can also put in images, you can put in links, whatever you'd like to go into these boxes you can do. So I showed you some of the examples, so I'm actually going to go back up to this, guys, if I can get that to come again, just to show you how pretty they can look. And what he does with these, so if I grab this, he used those boxes, and what he did is he put an image in each one. So each of these is a picture, and each of these will bring, if this was a live one that he gave to the students, it would bring it out to an activity. So I'm actually going to go into Seesaw and show you that. So each of these becomes an activity that they can do right in there, and then it tells them what they have to do. On this image, they're going to then check that they've done each of those activities in there. All right, that was a very quick half hour. Any questions for me? You can unmute and ask.
Did you show us how to do split screen?
Oh, I will show you that. Yes. All right. So
Thank you.
Sure. So here I am. I've got this one up, but I want to look at something on another. I want to have two windows up, so that I can look at it. What you're going to do, if you're on a Mac like I am, you're going to hit this little button up here that will exit full screen. See how that one came down for me? If you're on a Chromebook or a Dell or some other device, it's going to be in the center on your right-hand side of your screen. It's going to have like two boxes to shrink in. Depending on the device, it might look a little different. But you exit full screen, all right? And then see how I have this window open where I have all of you guys on one, but then I have this slideshow on the other. If I want to see them both side by side, and there are Chrome extensions that'll do it, but I'm just going to show you how to quickly click and drag. So you're going to grab the corner of your screen and drag it in. And then you can also, with the other window, you can drag it down drag it over. All right, and see how it changes a little bit, and it'll organize it to have them next to each other. I do this a lot. Like when I'm doing the attendance, I put the attendance up on one window and my learning plan up on the other so I can see the list of names, and then I can just click and go. So I'm not toggling as much. When I do webinars, I always have a second window up to take notes or to look at the things that they're giving me. Like here, I gave you the slide deck, so I can have the slide deck open and still see the presenter. I do all of those things when I go through there. Yeah, tab resize extension does it in Chrome. It's great. Yep. So Peter, to grab multiple items, you highlight one. I have them grouped, but you highlight one, hit the Shift key, and then click on the next one, and that will grab all of the different items. So let me just show you that again real quick so you can see it big because I have it little. So let me delete these out. I'm going to grab this shape tool. All right, I made this little box, and I made 4 of them, let's say. All right, so if I've got these 4 boxes, all right, and I want to organize them, and I kind of have them set here. I'm going to click on one, hit the Shift key, click on the next, and the next. Once it does that, I can then arrange it however I want. Oh, here's the distribute. I got it to work now. All right, and then I can do arrange vertically. And then let's say this is the order I wanted them. Once I do that, I can group it, and then that group will stay together. All right, once I have them all highlighted. But you have to highlight them all first to group it. It's a really helpful tool when you're doing a lot of layering on things to be able to do that. So, so let's say, I'm going to delete that out again. Let's say I have an image. We're going to grab this dog again, and we're going to grab this dog. All right. And I know that when I'm doing different things with these dogs, like let's say I have them close to each other and I want to keep them together on the page, and I'm trying to do other things around it so I don't move them out of order. I click on one, and then I hit the Shift key, click on another, hit arrange, and group. And now when I move one, it moves both at the same time. And if I shrink down one, it shrinks them both at the same time. So it helps you organize the different things on your screen. All right.
Lori, what's the difference between inserting a table and inserting those individual boxes? Is there a advantage to one or the other?
I like tables better because I think that they help keep things a little more organized. So here I have this blank screen here, right? And I hit insert and I hit table. And let's say I just want those 4 boxes. All right. So now I've got this here and I can grab and shrink. So I'm going to just shrink it down here. And then right here, now I've got the boxes already set. Off I go, right? It's just, for me, it's just easier to organize it on the page. It just seems neater. But some people prefer this look where you have the 4 over this look where you have them right up against each other. So it really is a personal preference on, visual. If you have a lot to share, a lot of times what I'll do is put the grid on like I just did on here and then grab my boxes. All right, so I'm going to hit insert again. And I'm going to grab my shape. I'll even do this to grab the shape I want and then move them into the grid. And then I can remove the grid, but it just gives me a chance to kind of keep it organized, right? Because I can kind of see that I have it right. And then I can take that grid out. Helps me organize a little bit.
Lori, I have 2 questions.
Sure.
One first is, where on that one slide where you had all those really cute templates, I wondered where you got them.
Yes.
The other is in this remote learning environment, it's great to have them online, but I also need to be able to print them to send home to my paper kids.
Yes.
And I did kind of figure out how to do it, and it was somewhat successful, but I'm so used to Microsoft Publisher, and I can't figure out how to get Google to do the same thing. Any thoughts?
Yes, you can print anything in a Google slide, either by clicking the print button or hit file and print.
Will it come out full paper size or like slide size?
So here's a key. When you know you're going to have to print things, I would change your page setup. So go up to file and go to page setup. Standard size piece of paper is 8.5 by 11, right?
Yeah.
So hit custom and do all of yours 8.5 by 11. This is totally going to change the way mine looks, but it will do that. So set up all of your choice boards this way. That way, once you print it, they're always going to have the right shape and size for printing.
Thank you. That's great.
And you can do it the other way too. I mean, I could do, if I go back to page setup, you could do it 11 by 8.5. Then it's still going to be able to print, but it'll print landscape for you.
Great. And where did you find those cute templates?
So all of these are ones that either I've sat in on webinars on, or I've grabbed off of Twitter. So I'm a big Twitter girl. I'm on every day, and I just grab whatever people have. This is how I do it. I go on Twitter. I'm going to give you, this is a pro tip. I'm sorry, we're running late today, but if you have to go, you got full credit for being here as long as you put here in the chat. So feel like you can go if you want. But what I do is, see how I have all these tabs open? When I'm in Twitter and I grab all the tabs, I do this. And then I have this Waitlet extension, this little W right here. I click the plus, and then Waitlet opens up for me instead of Google, because I use Waitlet way more than I search on Google. All of my tabs are right here on the right-hand side. If I create a collection with those tabs, it immediately will sort all of those tabs onto a collection. And I'm going to call this choice boards. All right. And then I can put in a picture. So they let you choose anything. So I'm just going to grab something. So here, we'll do this one. I don't care what it is. So you've got this cover page. I have my choice boards. And then here are all of the links that I have open right now. All I have to do is save this. I hit done. It saves it for me. It's a private collection. I haven't shared it out with anybody. And on my Waitlet page, I now have that collection showing up on the page once it loads. So you'll see, like here, you see tabs from. I do this a lot. Seesaw, remote learning. I went, on different chats on that one. We were doing something with animal research. So I have all of these different collections that when I click on it, I've got all of the resources that people have shared online. So I just grab and go from there. So cute little pro tip for you. Any other questions as we finish up?
Can I ask you about Waitlet?
Yes, I'm working on a workshop. I will be posting one soon. I'm going to do an hour-long workshop on it.
Can I add to a collection though if I find something later?
Yeah, so I just made that collection. So let me go back to it. Go back to Waitlet. I don't know why I didn't save it. Maybe I did. Maybe I hit something wrong because it's not showing up here. Let me hit refresh. Because it should have been the first one. There it is. It just needed a refresh. Okay, so I'm going to click on this choice boards one. I'm going to click on edit my collection. And then see how I have this plus? When I hit the plus, I can add in anything that you see here. So a link, text boxes, tweets, which I'll pull right from Twitter and grab those too. You can upload PDFs, anything from my Google Drive, anything you want. You could do Flipgrid right in it. Bunsies will have the animations in it. It's just great.
I have a question. I have missed previous workshops, and I noticed you said that you would recorded this one.
Yes.
Are they available?
Yeah, I have a doc for that. Here, let me share it. Here are all of the webinars that either I did or my partner in crime, Peggy, did since we've been remote. So there's a copy of the Google Doc.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yep, sure. Yeah, I really have to work on uploading them to YouTube. I just haven't had the time. So right now they're on a doc. Any other questions? All right, yeah. Peter, you saw what we call them a table. I call them grids, but when you insert, they're a table. All right, is how you're going to find them in there. If he's still on, he asked that question. Great questions from Peter today. Awesome. You don't need an IEP. You got it. Yeah, think of this as your first intro to choice boards. I would go out to Twitter or Google it and just look. There's tons and tons of resources from really remarkable teachers. If you go to Teacher Paid Teachers, there'll be plenty of templates there too, but I'm not a fan of Teacher Paid Teachers, so I'm not recommending you go there. So, all right, everyone have a great one. Have a great rest of your day. Sorry we ran a little late today. Sure, thank you.